Your creative craft does not have to be your income.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to Clarissa Castillo Ramsey today. She's a
Hello.
multi-passionate creative. She's an entrepreneur. She's the podcast host of Painting Your Path.
Hello. So glad to
Hi,
be here.
welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. So sometimes before the guest and I start recording, I tune in and see if my intuition says anything that's going to guide our conversation today about self-love, about what seeds of self-love Clarissa has is planting, practices that she uses. And today I got these two phrases that we're going to see what she has to share with us regarding what do you know about sorrow and strength? And it seems like the relationship between those two, and something that makes you cry. What makes you cry that also has to do with self-love. And I'm just going to talk for one more minute here because I am pretty much talking off the cuff and just giving her this prompt. There was no really advanced notice other than a second ago I said, I think we're going to talk about crying.
Yes.
So there is no right or wrong answer, but I'm trusting that there's something about the depth of your wisdom and the depth of your experience that we're all just ready to be here, sitting, listening to whatever you feel called to share.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Rachel, for that prompt. And what I love about your podcast is that it is unscripted and that we're just both going by what we feel, what we're tuning
Yes.
into. It's so interesting that of all days, like we're talking about sorrow and strength, because I have a lot to say about this. What's coming to my mind right now is any strength that is over leveraged can become a weakness. So in my life, I have felt like I always had to be that strong, independent person. I come from my parents came to the United States from the Philippines to pursue their own path, create their own path. And I grew up very much in a traditional Asian home. What does that mean? It means to me, well, at least in our family, I don't want to overgeneralize, but it's like, make us proud, like be a good citizen, get good grades, get a good job, and just, that live that American dream. And also being the firstborn, I just felt like there was extra responsibility on my shoulders to be like a parent to my brother and sister, because my parents worked so hard to build the life that we had here in the States. So they weren't around a lot. And so it was me, and it was also my grandmas. They would come from the Philippines to take care of us, but I still felt that responsibility to kind of be like a mini parent. And so I just felt like my whole life I had to be that strong person, and was very independent. And that's pretty much how I lived my whole life, was just like, okay, I'm going to put my mind to this goal. I'm going to get it done, and I'm just going to keep going. And that's pretty much what I did. I spent like almost 30 years in corporate, like getting promoted, and just, it was like constant go, 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 go. Oh, but I could take it. I was super strong.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was just very much like, let's keep going. Let's keep building. Let's just keep on going. And it was great until it wasn't great. And I think, like so many of us during the pandemic, it was a time to reset. And I know that's when you and I met through Kelly's project, but it was a time for so many us to reset. And I was asking myself, okay, what's going on here? Because I should also mention, I also knew that I wanted to be my own boss and just step away from corporate. But the promotions and the money and the perks and all of that, just it there's a saying, golden handcuffs, and that is a real thing. That is a real thing. But I think I just knew, like, the universe was like, girl, okay, I think it's time. I think it's time. So I finally had that conversation with us to leave. And so I stepped out on my own, and I've been on my own for 2 years, and that has been fantastic. But guess what, Rachel?
What?
I started having the same patterns that I did in corporate, and I know better
Oh my gosh.
intellectually. I have a self-care practice that I do routinely, but I was just getting into that cycle of launch, sell, launch, sell, and it burned me out last year. So strength over leveraged becomes a weakness. And so this year kind of has been a year. It has been kind of like a year of sorrow in a way of letting, but really what that means to me is letting go. Like, oh my God, girl, stop efforting. It's time. It's time again to recalibrate. And I have cried so much this year. And maybe that's what you were picking up on.
I guess so.
And it's been such a blessing. It's been such a release, because that is an emotion that I really didn't feel I could experience as a child, as an adult, as a young adult. Like, oh my God, I would suppress so much stuff. And this is partly why I have this vocal condition. I know it's partly because my throat chakra is blocked. There is a piece of my truth that I just haven't released. And I think that's what I just want to share with the audience, is that are you tuning in to your inner truth? Not what everybody else is telling you, but is there a piece of you that you need to release and let out? And I was sharing with Rachel before we started the podcast interview that I'm starting to see an acupuncturist, acupressure doctor, and he just hit all the painful points. And at the end of the session, I just started wailing. I just started
wow.
And he said, good, this is what needs to happen. And so I feel like I'm just in this liminal space of just letting go of the old way of trying to be strong, like the strong business owner, and just efforting and go. So I'm just feeling like this is also a time for, I don't want to say pivot, but expansion into a new realm. And I'm letting the tears flow. I'm just letting the ending of what my first iteration of business, I'm just kind of like crying to like release that, so that I have the space to shift into this new dynamic.
So beautiful. I've got the tears too. And so when you first started sharing, I felt I could see you as a little girl so clearly. And it just made me think she had so much responsibility that she felt on her shoulders, and that wanting to make everyone proud And it's,
Yes.
I love how you have a different strength now of, it's like the flip side of not the strength that's the efforting, but the strength that's being loving to yourself while you're going through this sorrow,
Yes.
and not just being like, well, let's get over it, or
Oh my
forget
gosh.
that, I'm not going to cry, and crying in front of, the
Yes.
doctor the first time you see them, like, okay, here
Yeah.
I am,
Oh my
vulnerable
gosh.
again.
Right. And
Yeah.
then I was like, Rachel, the pain was
Oh
so,
my
I mean,
gosh.
it was so bad, like off the chart. And I think
Wow.
I have a pretty high tolerance for pain because I
Yeah.
probably suppressed it so much. But if you can just imagine, and it's like he hit points that I was like, oh my God, I had no idea
Wow.
that even existed. And he's like, 2 more seconds, just 2 more seconds. And it just
Wow.
felt like 2 minutes, but it
Wow.
just felt good. And he's like, good, scream,
Mm.
scream, cry, and just be. And it was such a gift.
Wow. That's so beautiful. When, and maybe you said this before, but I'm piecing it all together. Did your parents immigrate before you were born, or were you a small child? I know you were
Oh,
telling this whole story, but I
yes,
think that part I didn't
yes.
understand.
I was born in the States.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Wow.
yeah.
And all the pressure of two cultures, bridging two
Yes.
cultures.
And
First generation here, that's a big responsibility.
and it's tough. Like, I don't know if people understand kind of like how tough that can be. And it's interesting. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and she's Japanese. I think she's Japanese American. So she's kind of like me,
Mm-hmm.
like or maybe she came here when she was a tiny child. So it's kind of like having one foot in one culture and one foot
Right.
in the American culture, and you feel like you're neither
Mm-hmm.
because, and I've shared this with some of my friends, but it's like sometimes I just don't feel Filipino enough
Right.
because it's like even though my parents like that's what we ate at home was Filipino food. Like we went to church every Sunday and all the things. Being an American, it's just different.
Right. Yes,
And
because if you
so
traveled to the Philippines,
yeah, up
they would see you as an American, probably
a
not
100%.
necessarily Filipino. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's wild.
it's yeah, it's just a little it can and I've just had to say, you know what? Let it go. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
me. I like there's pieces of our culture that I absolutely love. And and there's pieces of the American culture that I love. So why not just integrate the best of both worlds?
Yes. I'm thinking about, I don't remember exactly where this woman was from, so I don't know if this is why I'm thinking of this, but I was a member of a community garden several years back in Vancouver, BC. And the woman who had the plot next to me, she was growing traditional vegetables from the country she had lived in before. It was an Asian country, but it's been many years, so
Yeah.
I don't remember where she was from. But it makes me think about a garden, how you take a plant that was grown somewhere else, the
Yes.
idea of a transplant, and it's going to have different characteristics and a different climate,
Yes.
but then after so long, it is where it is, and it has the characteristics of that place too. But it's kind of, in a way, it's also like one of the most innovative things we could do as humans, like,
Yes.
in a way it makes sense you're multi-passionate, multi-creative entrepreneur, because your brain has double the cultures to reference, and in a way not feeling stably solid in either one makes you almost always pave a new path or find comfort in discomfort and the
Yes.
unknown.
Right. And I feel like that has been my life,
Yeah.
is just painting many paths and just,
Yes.
you know, and I finally feel like I'm at the point now, I'm 51, where it's like, okay, I'm really starting to live my life. just like, okay, what do I want to create?
Mm-hmm.
Want to create for myself in this second half of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fun. And I think the direction that I'm stepping into, because I want to get back to more creativity and
Yes.
doing more like creative wellness retreats, classes, workshops. That's kind of where all of this is leading me.
That
And it's
sounds
kind of cool
amazing.
to
I
just
love that.
see what unfolds.
Yes. And tell me, so I have this curiosity right now about when you're visioning this or knowing that you're stepping into this next great chapter that's going to be even better than before. Walk us through what that feels like for you, what that looks like, or do you have a process that you do for this visioning? Give us a
Yes.
glimpse into
Oh,
your life and what
right.
this is doing for you, how it happens.
Yes, it's such a great question. And I do have a simple framework that I can share, which is pretty much how I've achieved anything that I've achieved in life is directly through this process. And I call it my painting your path guide, whatever you framework, whatever you want to call it. But that first step is dreaming. That first step is just getting quiet. Like I like to do it like dim lights, notebook. I'm old school, like write it out, light a candle, have a good scent in the room. And I just free flow. Like, what's coming up? What do I see?
Mhm.
What do I see? And sometimes I'll close my eyes and just try and get that picture. And other times I'll just write. But it's just really imagining, what do I see? Like, and sometimes it's not clear, but like for this iteration, I see myself in, in community, primarily with women in smaller groups. And we're doing things like meditation, we're doing journaling, we're doing art for the sake of just self-care, not to make a masterpiece, but just to have fun and to play and just
Mhm.
to slow it down.
Mhm.
And I just see myself co-leading retreats with different friends who are doing different self-care modalities. And I also see myself getting like, so for the first iteration of my business, I was so focused on helping people exit the 9 to 5.
Mm.
And I don't want to completely abandon that, but I definitely want to take a different approach to that.
Mm.
But the other piece to that is I'm feeling a calling to go back into the corporate space just to support employee well-being
That
and
sounds good.
self-care because I know what it's like. I did it for almost 30 years and especially through the pandemic in the
Mm-hmm.
healthcare space, it was so tough to see people working in the dental practices with less people but having to do the same amount of work, like double what they've
Wow.
had to do. And that was just the reality during that time. And
Wow.
it takes a toll. And I think we're hearing more and more out there, like anxiety is on the rise. And I just want to do something about that. That's in a creative, like, let's just slow it down kind of
Mm-hmm.
way. And like before I left my day job, my boss had like a party for me, and she said, okay, I want you to tell your favorite Clarissa story. And I was like, oh God, what is going to come out now?
Yeah.
But I would say more than most people said, Clarissa, you bring such a calming presence. You, oh, I feel like you're approachable and you were there for me. And this is the piece of me that I really feel like I haven't let out. And I do that with my clients. That's part of our
Mm-hmm.
time with them. But I'm just really feeling a calling to just bring this out more. That
I
feels
love that.
more in alignment.
Mm-hmm. That sounds so beautiful. And I'm picturing my husband last year, he's in a corporate job. They did a holiday painting party. It was virtual,
Yes.
and it was so sweet to see it from the other room or pop in, and just I loved watching them do that because
Yeah.
they're he's in sales, so they are never painting.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely not
Yeah.
something they would do.
Right. It's not the norm. And
Not the
what
norm.
I know, I would assume most of the people watching the show are, if they're not creative, then at least you're open to it.
Yes.
And we're both creative. And so one of the things that happens when you're creative and you work in another medium is you can't always plan it out, but you usually get new ideas to bring back to your original
Yes.
medium by doing something different. Like that's one of the things, this cross pollination and new perspectives. And so I love how self-care and creativity in the workplace can be in this beautiful way of they're going to have not only that feeling of delight after you put some color on paper and you've
Yes.
created something and you're proud of it, there's also they're probably going to look at things a little bit differently because they dabbled in something new. So
Yes.
there's so much freshness that you bring to it.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're being taken out of that
Mm.
grind of the day to
Mhm.
day of that, a lot of like planning and the,
Mhm.
that part of your brain. Like,
Right.
and this creative side just gives you a place to relax. And that's when
Mhm.
all the ideas come in. And that is how I know that you can, that's the benefit, is just giving yourself the space to do something different. There's so much research on your brain, on art when you're creating. And
Yes.
so, and I feel like lucky that I did get to do some of that at my last job because my boss knew that I was an artist.
Oh, cool.
And so we did, like, we would paint pumpkins at Halloween, and we had painted before, so we definitely got to do that. And even before that, I used to be a graphic designer, and one day I just asked my boss if we could just have an afternoon to paint, and maybe that would bring inspiration for our holiday campaign. And she said, okay, let's do it. And so we did it. And like after, I don't know how long we were painting, she was like, Clarissa, can we do this more often? This was so therapeutic. And
Mhm.
Rachel, that was honestly like the very initial, like, that seed was
Planting.
planted.
Yes, I
And
love
I
that.
just never, I kind of like half stepped into it. And it's like, and I just feel like my voice is like, you need to do, it's time. It's time. Bring this out fully. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. I love it. And it's such a great moment too because I don't know about all the brain research on art on your brain, but I'm not surprised because I know
Yes.
all the good effects. And I think there's been a frustration in our culture, this story of like the value of art, people not really understanding it. And I feel that we're finally at this point where enough people realize we don't need to question the value of art,
Right.
and everyone making for their own. Most
Yeah.
all of my art that I make, it's for myself or my
Yeah.
kids. It's I put it on my wall, or it's a thing that I make a bag and I give it to someone. It's never, I guess I don't think I've ever sold any of it other
Yeah.
than my book cover that I did. I did that book cover and that sells, but my art, and maybe one day I'll sell it, but for me,
Sure.
just making it for myself, the pure joy of
Yes.
walking through your home and you think, I made this, I made that, and it
Yeah,
feels really
it's
good.
cool. Oh my
Yeah, it is
God.
cool.
It just feels good. And it doesn't, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like your creative craft does not have to be your income. It doesn't have to be. It
Mm-hmm.
can just be for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I sell my art, but
Mm-hmm.
it's secondary. It's not my primary source of income. But that said, I also know people who are artists. That's all they do. And
Mm-hmm.
and they're killing it.
Yeah,
They're
I
they're
love
make
it.
they're making money. Somebody who lived in my neighborhood, millionaire. I mean, and he I'm not gonna say his name, but he's well known.
Wow.
It's possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. That's exciting. Well, is there another piece of your framework that you think the listeners would want to know, or another thing that you really feel called to highlight in our time together?
I'm so excited to tell you Talk to the Trees, written by myself, Rachel Strivelli, psychic. Talk to the Trees is a short book about connecting to the wisdom of the trees, actually literally talking to them, metaphorically talking to them, learning from the wisdom of these elder beings. What can we gain from them in terms of resilience, how to approach the times that we're in? You can buy it at the places linked below. I would love it if you check it out, share it with a friend, buy it for a friend, and spread the word.
Yes, I think like part of my framework, I think next step is also equally, and they're all important, but like super important because I think as adults, we just don't allow ourselves to use our imagination and dream. So
Mm-hmm.
once you've given yourself that grace to just have fun and write it out, make a vision board. I'm all about vision boards. The next step is to decide this dream, this vision is worth pursuing. You are worth it. There's a reason why you dreamed up this vision and
Mm-hmm.
put it on paper or put it on a vision board. So decide you're going to go for it. And I think that is another point where people can get wishy-washy
Right.
and kind of be half in and half out. I
Yes.
have definitely been there so many times. Well, what if this doesn't work out? Or I
Right.
don't know if this is going to pan out. So no, decide that it's worth it. You're worth it. And I have to share this too, Rachel, as an example. So once I decided that, okay, I want more creativity, I want more self-care, like fun stuff. I want to put that work out in the world. I was able to give a talk on self-care at a local art school, prestigious art school here in LA. And I'm going to be doing a vision board workshop in an organization. I met somebody yesterday who can connect me to her wellness person at her organization. So my point is, once you decide to put this dream out there, it's amazing to see truly like what happens once you do that. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you experience that too.
Right. Yes, definitely. And I agree. I'm so glad you brought this up. I am going to ask you a question, but I also still want to highlight that it's so true. Once you decide, things that you don't expect from places or people perhaps you didn't even expect start coming together. And that decision, that commitment is what puts things into action, it seems like.
Yes.
So when you were sharing, I had that moment, maybe like the wishy-washiness that you were talking about, where I was thinking, oh, wow, the next step is decide. And I immediately thought, not that I'm thinking of what my dream is yet, but I thought, what if you're not ready to decide? Or do you ever work with clients and they just get stuck between the dreaming and the actual
Yes.
deciding? Yeah,
Yes.
talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
Because
And
it's
so,
coming up for me of like,
right.
well, what about deciding? Because I do believe
Yes.
once the decision happens, things things start happening, but
Right.
sometimes you can't even get to the decision.
Yes. And I think when that happens, when we get so in our head, at least this is, I'll speak for myself.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
oh my God, what if, all the what ifs happen. So one exercise you can do is just go there. What if it fails? Okay. What next? What if it's wildly successful? What's next? Just go through all the scenarios. Just go through all the scenarios just to get it out, just so it's not in your head. Like brain dump that stuff. And so that's one exercise you can do. And then the other piece, and this is what I tell my clients all the time and myself, and just look at it through the lens of fun. Just, can you look at this through the lens of fun? It doesn't have to be, like, oh my God, I have to change the world right now. Okay, what if it's one person? What if it's just one person? What if it's one conversation? It doesn't have to be this, like, oh my God, this overwhelming, like, if I can't save the world, I can't do anything. No. And also it's not an either or. It's not ever an either or. There's so many choices in between. It's not an all or nothing. It's definitely not an all or nothing. And just, like, just roll with it and see what happens. And just, like, ask yourself, well, wouldn't it be cool if I did this? Okay, there, you've decided you're going to try one thing. Just one thing.
And I love this making it fun prompt, because what I started feeling in my body was sometimes the efforting that a lot of us have done, if we're high achievers, the efforting part maybe doesn't want to decide because it thinks, well, there's this work and commitment and perseverance, and how do I get an A at this?
Yes.
But fun is not worried about getting an A. Fun, it instantly loosens things up so that it feels like there's an easier entry point, perhaps, too. Like you're saying, just with one person, just make it fun. I did a workshop recently, and I noticed myself getting nervous beforehand. And then I started having self-talk to myself, and I said, you want to do this. So why are the nervousness? Like, this is an experiment, essentially. And I think I want to do this, and let's just go see. And it was great. But in the past, I would definitely get myself more worked up with performance anxiety, whatever you want to call it, especially if it's something new. And I just had to remind myself, but wait, this is supposed to be fun, and it's an experiment. The worst they could do is fire me. I wasn't getting paid anyway. So, like, it was a total, like, no loss experiment. And as I said, it ended up turning out great. But if I would have kept myself being anxious leading up to it, I don't think I would have been relaxed enough to go with the flow and really have fun with it and enjoy it. I would have been checking my outline. Am I doing everything I put in my plan? Is the event running exactly how I pictured? Which it did not run exactly how I pictured in any way, but it was still amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, and I know this is, like, a lot of this is easier said than done, but if you can just get in the space of, like, okay, let's just have fun here. Let's just see what happens. And like, let's not make it an A, let's make it a B-, and just applaud ourselves for doing it. Like, that is something to celebrate.
It is.
You did it. You took a step.
And I think I love what you just said. I feel that I'm in a retraining process for myself of loving the C+, the B-, the B+.
I know. And I know sometimes maybe for us it's a little challenging.
And it's like, it's okay. I feel like I'm constantly telling myself that. And with my daughter, she's a different kind of kid than I was academically. I always wanted all A's, and I don't really think my parents were pushing me. It was just my driving force to excel. I'm sure I wanted the praise and all that. So I was
Yes.
getting at school the reinforcement for it. And she's not wired at all like that. And I don't want to push her to that, because if I try, it makes her stressed. And I know that
Yes.
that's not her way. And so just being her parent I feel like I'm reparenting myself, because I don't want to lie and say, oh, it's okay if you make a B. And I'm thinking, yeah, internally, I have to still think I would have not
Right.
liked getting a B, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And I really don't care that she's getting it. But if you've set a certain standard for yourself for a lifetime, perhaps, and most workplaces expect, the top of,
Right.
they always want you to excel to the best of your ability, which sounds noble, but it's not always that creative or fun. Like, to be creative, as you can attest to, or to be an entrepreneur, there's all this experimenting that has
Oh
to
my
happen.
gosh. Totally. Totally. And I think for me, like I feel like in corporate, I definitely wasn't 100% me. I
Mm,
definitely had a mask, like a professional
mm,
mask.
right.
And I feel like I learned how to be a fantastic employee. But this entrepreneurial journey, as you said, it's like this, you guys, and it's
Mm-hmm.
topsy turvy, and it is it's especially at the beginning, and I still consider myself like this is still the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's total experimentation and
Mm-hmm.
finding what feels good and balancing out like what your coach could or mentor is it advising you to do and what feels true to you.
Right.
There has to be there has to be that inner listening and just saying, I don't know if this is necessarily true for me. Like as a multi-passionate person who wants to do different things, this is not what most entrepreneurial coaches and mentors say. They say,
Mm,
pick
right.
a lane, stick one offer, one audience, one whatever. And I'm like, I can't do that. I just
Right.
can't. And I don't care if it's going to take me longer to be
Yeah.
whatever, hit whatever success money wise. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of don't care. I just want to do what feels good. And
Yeah.
I just want to play.
That's cool.
And yeah, and if I could give any advice to anybody out there who is embarking on this entrepreneurial journey, experiment, experiment. Like everybody, not everybody, a lot of people say, pick it, just pick it, and you can. But
Mm-hmm.
hindsight's 2020. I wish
Mm-hmm.
I would have said, you know what? I kind of want to work with this person. I kind of want to work with this person. I kind of work with this person and allow myself to do it. So I'm doing it now.
Yay. I love that. And I'm curious, the listeners, they're new to you, so unless you told them to come watch this, so they may not know the things that you do. And you've given us some glimpses so far of coaching people, leaving the 9 to 5, and I'm assuming other creative entrepreneurs, and wellness and self-care, vision boards. Give us some of the things on the menu, just so that listeners can see, wow, you really can. And I don't know if in your way it's like you piece it together and you have these different elements that all work together.
Yeah,
I'm just curious to hear that part of it broken down, so that people
right.
can know, one, maybe they want to come work with you, which could be cool, or take one of your classes. And two, you can model for them perhaps of what's possible.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Rachel. And I'll be honest, like this is stuff I'm still figuring out, but I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why I chose Painting Your Path to be the
Mm,
title of my book, to be the title of my podcast. And it's something that I really resonate with because it's all about creating life on your terms. And I think what pulls it together for me is that number one regret of the dying is I wish, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's like, I really wish I would have lived a life that I wanted to live and not for other people's expectations of me. And so I think that is just kind of like the golden thread is just, it's all about getting back to what feels good to you, whether that's leaving into 5, or if you decide you want to stay in corporate, just also nourishing yourself and taking care of yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself at work. And this is also why I love leading vision board workshops, is just to help people get into that space of, okay, what's next for me? And it doesn't have to be a new job. It could be like, you know what? I want to try something different. I want to take an art class. I want to learn how to play guitar, whatever it is, just holding the space for people really to just tune in and get clear on, like, maybe it's not their mission in life, but their next adventure. It could just be about that, their adventure. I also have hosted, I call them soul reset sessions, where it's like we just get together, we do a little meditation, dialogue and journal, and then we paint. It's just free flow painting. And that has been so much fun. And so I miss that. So that's kind of what I want to get back into. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I do.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this makes me, do you do that online ever, or is it always in person?
You know, it has been for the last couple of years all online, but I'm starting to get back into in person.
Oh,
and
good.
So I'm out in LA. So if anybody is out in LA, yeah, I'm sure I'll be posting about some class I'm doing in person. Yeah.
That sounds so delightful. Coming over, soul reset, some talking or coaching or meditation, and then, just painting along. I love that.
Just relaxing, resetting. Yeah. And I also like doing online events. So just, just to help people paint their path. So this upcoming summit I have, at least at the time of this recording, next week, is to help you move from cubicle to creative life if you're multi-passionate, aspire, creative entrepreneur.
That sounds so delightful. So tell people where they can follow you. Everything will be in the description box below, but people, the audio learners are going to want to know. Yes, tell us where we can find you, follow you, sign up for the summit.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Clarissa Castillo Ramsey. I know it's kind of long, but you can also tune into my podcast, Painting Your Path. So that's a great way to connect. And I'll share the link for the summit with Rachel if you want to sign up for that too. And it's free.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Every moment of this was great. You started us out with tears, and then you ended with paintbrush and soulful sessions.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm just so delighted that you were willing to share these deep parts of you and what you've gone through. That's really special.
Oh my gosh, thanks for asking. Happy to do it.
All right. Well, thank y'all for listening, and connect with Clarissa. All the links will be below, and I'm wishing you the best day.
I am a psychic who helps people in business who understands business. And what I can tell you is, if there are 5 things or 6 things that you're considering doing in your business and you wish you knew which ones not to do, together we can tune in and eradicate
3 to 5 of those. So you only have 1 or 2 things to focus on. Imagine the massive amount of time and energy and wondering this could save you. If you could just commit to the thing because you know that this is what's totally aligned with you and your business right now and this time, that moves you forward. That gives you so much action to pour into your business. Now, if you listen, there's a playlist. You can look at other sessions that clients have had, and you'll notice time and time again, they get 1 to 2 to 3 specific areas that are green lights for them to work on in their business. Things that they can really focus on that are definitely going to help them. Occasionally, they also get the clarity on, don't do these other things. It's not going to work for you. It's not in your best interest right now. How beautiful is it in this time and world of so many choices, so many options, to already have it narrowed down to these are things to focus on. These are things that are not going to work for you. And to have that extra bit of confidence, that stamp of approval saying, this also feels internally aligned. So not only are you thinking it, but this is what I'm reading from your energy field, from spirit, from the infinite field of possibilities that is maximally aligned for your potential. That's what makes life and business so much fun. I am really looking forward to our first session together. May it be the first of many. Go ahead, there's the booking link below. See you soon.